Hello and welcome everyone. I am Matt, and this is Noesun Podcast, a series of conversations with trailblazers. Together, we explore transformative experiences and spaces. Our research in ontological design at noesun.com motivates insightful conversations with experts. It was natural to start making them public. We aim to develop this podcast into a forum for sense-making. My guest today is Michael Najjar. Michael is the CEO and founder of Spacebloom. Based in Brussels, Spacebloom develops workspaces for people to be healthier, happier, and more productive at the office. They do it through data-driven and climate-friendly interior design. In this episode, you will learn about, first, the movement from interior design around identity construct based on personal feelings to data-driven design for physical and mental well-being. Second, the opportunity interior design represents for our current build. Third, what post-COVID offices are becoming. And finally, how Spacebloom is scaling healthy interior design through its platform. I wish you to enjoy my conversation with Michael Najjar.
Maybe you can start with saying what you do in a nutshell to get some context.
Okay, so I'm an architect, and I was always passionate about how the spaces around us can impact our health. Because, interior design, usually we perceive it as a reflection of our identities. When we design our house, it's a reflection of ourselves. And I was always passionate about not to take this extrinsic approach that the spaces and our homes reflect our identities, but use this space to enhance our physical and mental well-being. So it started maybe at the end of my university studies, where my thesis was about urban farming and how to be in symbiosis with nature inside the city. So every plot had an urban plot and an agriculture plot. I'm not going to explain all the project, but mainly it was about reconnecting people to nature inside the city. And then I worked in architecture offices, and today I'm here. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And when I moved to Belgium from Lebanon, I decided to take the leap and work on my project.
And what is the project in a nutshell?
So now I'm focusing on workplace design. We help businesses create healthy and sustainable workplaces to engage employees, their people, and mainly to take care of their people because it's their biggest asset.
Gotcha. Okay. How did you get into specifically the workplace?
Actually, at the beginning of the project, I wanted to start with the B2C, so consumers. And then I realized that they're not ready yet, or maybe I'm not ready because it demands a lot more means and marketing and awareness to do. And I realized that businesses are much more ready to do this change because first you have tangible benefits on performance, productivity, health, and well-being. In the house, I like to compare it to organic food. When you eat organic food, you don't feel the change directly. You invest in the long term, and it's the same for your house. If you buy furniture where you have a lot of glue and toxic elements and paint, etc., these furniture have molecules that goes in the air that are toxic for us. And people don't usually know that, and it affects our health. So you have a lot of things like indoor air quality, for example, is very important. But if you don't have an air monitor, you can't know if the air is good or bad. In the B2C side, there was a lot of awareness to do. That's why I decided to start with the B2B and then go to B2C again. Okay. B2C is the biggest impact, I think.
You said if you don't have an air quality monitor, you can't really know it. Is there one that consumers could buy?
Yeah, there's a lot on the market. There is for housing, for example, Netatmo. It's a French company, part of Legrand, I think. It's very good because they have an app and you can check everything on the app. For offices, you need to monitor air quality in different rooms. So you need a system that can connect all the devices. I think Kaitera, for example, do a very good job for this. You have a lot of brands. I did my small selection to work with. And by the way, the market of air quality is booming right now. People are more and more aware about air quality and the importance of air quality. Like, you have facts, alarming facts. You know that air quality, for example, can be 2 to 5 times worse inside than outside. It's huge. And when you cook, for example, it's 10 times worse. So that's why you have like best practices to improve air quality. It's very simple. You just have to open the windows like every 2-3 hours, but people don't know that. I think that more and more people are being more aware about this, especially after the pandemic. It amplified this need.
Crazy. Yeah, we got an air purifier, but I have to say that when we have the air conditioning on, we don't want to be opening the windows,
Yeah.
especially in Barcelona. We don't believe the air quality outside is better than inside. Okay. What do you like best about doing what you've been doing for the past few months, like starting a business in that particular field now with B2B? What is most exciting to you?
What's the most exciting is knowing that like we all work, right? We work a lot of time every day, and it's a big part of our lives. So improving this environment where you're safe and healthy is very important for me. And I find it very important to do that, like to impact this space first and then go to the home. But I find it very interesting to have an impact on people's health and performance at work.
And when you engage with a B2B client, do you do this study first of how is the air quality in the office at the beginning, and then so that you can show, like, you have different indicators that you track?
So the process of how I work now, the first process is the onboarding process. I explain to the client what we will do. And the first step is to do a survey with the employees, a workplace performance survey. We analyze the needs of the employees, how they work, what they need. Like they need 2 monitors, the amount of light, they need silence, a space to focus in silence. Everyone has different needs. It's the data collection phase. And then we have a small questionnaire with the management team, which is more a questionnaire about what is the vision of the company, what are your goals, what do you want to accomplish, what is your budget for the project. After all this data collection, we have qualitative and quantitative data. We analyze all the data and we propose solution that goes from space layouts, so how to manage the space with the desks and all the stuff, the monitors, the meeting rooms, etc. Then you have the technical side, so air quality, the amount of light, the quality of the water they drink, the acoustics also are very important. So these are the technical factors. And then we have the design factors.
This you do before and after, I guess.
Yes, exactly. So you have a pre-evaluation and a post-evaluation to measure the impact of the intervention. So yeah, it's very important to do a post-evaluation after like 6 months or 1 year. First, to know if everybody's happy with the space and if there is some improvement that we should make. Because usually in design, when you do interior design, it's very subjective, right? Like the architect, maybe he likes blue, he likes red, he likes yellow, and it's very subjective. I try to have a more scientific approach to design, which is based on scientific facts and not just I like red or I like blue. So yeah, we propose solution. And then I was saying that the design approach we use is called the biophilic design. And today it's a movement, I think, especially after the pandemic. Biophilic design, the aim of biophilic design is to connect people to nature indoors. It's actually our innate connection as human, it's our innate connection to nature. Throughout our evolution, 99% of our time we were connected to nature. When the Industrial Revolution started and the cities started to grow, we cut out our connection with nature. And it's in our DNA, this connection. When we cut it out, we had a lot of health issues like stress, cancer. So biophilic design tries to reconnect you to nature through plants, through colors, through patterns. So you have different strategies. Actually, you have 14 patterns of biophilic design that you can apply in your spaces that enhance your connection to nature indoors.
What influenced you most to get there? I mean, your thesis at university was already going in that direction. What made you click? It looks like it's a path because you've been doing this for so many years now.
Yeah.
So what initiated you? What triggered you to start thinking about those things?
And maybe I always had this connection. I love to do activities outdoors and nature and hikes, etc. And even like in my thesis project, I didn't know about biophilic design, but I wanted to create architecture. And I'm an architect, so I didn't work in indoor spaces. I worked in buildings. And I always had this sustainable approach on how to create healthy buildings and healthy architecture. But actually, the trigger, I don't know if it's a specific time, but I realized that the most sustainable way for architects to do architecture is to not build anything. Because when you build, you use resources, right?
Yeah.
And then I realized, okay, instead of building more and more and more and using resources, maybe we can do with what we have and optimize what we have, the indoor spaces. And I find that changing the indoors has much more impact than building sustainable buildings again, you know?
Gotcha. If you fast forward 10 years, where are you? What are you doing? This project?
I would hope in this project to have an impact on the consumers. And my service is digital to be able to scale it to the max. Going to B2C will allow me to have maximum impact on people's homes and maybe to create a marketplace where we have ethical and sustainable products for the home and push people to consume more responsibly. That's my goal in 10 years, to have maximum impact on design and to shop responsibly things for your home. Maybe curate all the sustainable and ethical products in one marketplace so you can shop on one address only. Because it's very difficult to know which furniture is good or bad. You need to do a lot of research. What are the materials they use? What are the toxic materials? What are the woods that are certified in the furniture? There's a lot of research to do.
It's tough. I mean, I remember Living Building Challenge was having a marketplace as well, and a few other NGOs in France I was seeing as well. But it's tough because you need the overall framework to understand how to navigate the space, and then you need to go deep into each product. And as you said, like the best product is no product. Just have as little as you can. So it's basically having a scale of how healthy or how not healthy it is. But there are so many parameters because sometimes the thing when you use it is okay, but the production to get to that thing is actually not so good. Okay. And you talk a lot about scientific research now in this call, but also on the website, it seems to be evidence-based what you do. How do you do the research? How difficult is it for you to navigate? I've been doing research for Noesun for years now, and it's rough because there are so many experts speaking about one single topic, and you need to talk about so many topics for your project as well, because the home is touching many different aspects of life. It's a massive endeavor. How do you prioritize? How have you been able to get to those insights that you have already?
I research a lot on the web. And now there is a lot of certifications, actually, like the WELL certification that is international, which is about healthy indoors, mainly how to create healthy indoors. It's a 10-year scientific research on indoor spaces and how to improve them to be healthy. And they treat like air quality. They give you a big database and big knowledge base about how to improve the health of a space. And this is like a very big chunk of the research. They did a very good job about healthy spaces. Then you have Harvard too, like the top universities doing a lot of research about air quality, water quality, how to improve the health of your home. There's a lot of universities working on that, and the WELL certification mainly. And then biophilic design, you have other people leading this field. But yeah, there's a lot, and you should do your research, and I will do your research, my research for you. But yeah, now, especially now, there's like the movement. It's not a trend, and it's here to stay, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the percentage of people that you think are conscious about this in your meetings, B2B, B2C? Are people aware when you talk with them?
B2C, very few people are aware of this. In B2B, a bit more, especially scale up and small and medium companies are much more aware. Startups are aware about this problem, but they don't have the budget to do it. It's not a priority. When you explain the benefits of improving the health of a space, how it impacts performance, productivity, well-being with your people, they are convinced, but sometimes don't have the budget, and maybe it's not a priority. But what I saw is that scale-ups and small and medium companies corporates too are very aware about this problem. Now you have a lot of software that monitor employee well-being, for example. A lot of corporate companies are using these kind of software to track and prevent burnouts. My solution, like we are aligned with this goal. So the goal is the same, to improve employee well-being, but the means are different. I use the space to improve it, and they use data and constant monitoring with employees. So it's the same objective, but a different intervention.
The divide between the individual and the business is that the business has clear KPIs to track.
Exactly.
And by trying to move the performance and not the well-being, I guess they care more about retention and performance. Yes. By moving those values, those KPIs, let's say, then they worry about the space. And then you bring other benefits for the well-being and the inner benefits for the individuals, but it doesn't come from there. It comes from their bottom line.
It comes from KPIs on retention, attract new talents. And I think well-being is important too, but you have tangible KPIs that you can measure.
Yeah, because if well-being was the driver, then you would see it on the individuals as well.
Yes.
You see it more on the B2B. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
But on the B2C side, it's more on, it's like I said, it's like eating organic food. The investment is on the long term and you don't see it now. But if you have bad air quality for 10 years in your house, you will have health problems maybe in 10 years. But because it's not tangible in the moment, people tend not to invest in this kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, there's no urgency.
There's no urgency, that's why.
Okay. You had consumers like B2C clients before?
B2C, and talking about urgency, I found an urgency in a very specific target, which is pregnant women. Pregnant because they want a very healthy room for their kids.
That's the reason why we got the air purifier and the humidifier. Yeah, we got a few things and
yeah. So especially first baby, because first baby you want the top of the top. You have urgency. So when you say to a pregnant woman, do you know that air quality can be 2 to 5 times worse? It creates urgency, and it's real facts.
Have you played with this? Like, have you done specific materials for pregnant women or for couples?
Yeah, actually, I did a small case study with friends, and we did a case study for their kids' bedroom. I recommended a lot of furniture and paint and air quality. So I designed, if you want, their kids' bedroom and recommended products. What I realized is that the budget is more than buying IKEA furniture, for example. And this is something that people are not sometimes happy to pay more for the same design. I don't want to say IKEA is not healthy because it depends on the products. In general, you tend to pay a bit more for healthy and sustainable products.
I think people who are expecting babies, it's really a good opportunity for you. Also, we're so desperate because we really want the best for our kids. You will be ready to pay a bit more. Like, we got the best air purifier we could find on the market. And it was way more expensive than others. We still got it because that was super important for us that it sleeps in a good air quality room. We tend to count much less for our kids than we count for ourselves. The budget increases so much when it's for him.
It's like our pets too. Like for the cats and dogs, usually.
It's like like for the pets, but like multiply by 10. Do you have anything online about this?
Online, no, but I have a case study for the workplace that I can show you, maybe. For the kids, I did it offline. I can't show you anything right now.
I don't know how many people are looking for this, but like that's probably a good opportunity for you to get some marketing or get people to know you.
For the kids.
Do you want to show me your case study now?
Yeah. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a case study we did for DocMotion. It's a small company here in Belgium. So this is the survey, the questionnaire we did for the employees. It goes from temperature to lighting, visual sensations, if there is noise in the office, how clean is it, how long do you spend working at your desk, quantitative data, how comfortable is your chair. So ergonomics are important too. The following activities are important. So to know what is supported or not, to see what are the problems, and you see here the percentages. You have a lot of questions about the performance of the space that you can analyze. And it's like question to know what are the needs of each employees and what we should improve. So this is the first survey for the employees.
This is the overall all employees in one place. And then I
Yes.
guess you look at each workstation, I guess.
Yes, and it's anonymous. They don't put their names, so they can answer with transparency and honesty. Then you have the questionnaire for the management team. He puts some pictures. What is your company's culture, long-term goal, etc. What is your budget? And then I propose, so here we have the design board. So this is the CRM platform. The collaboration platform is the client. So here you have the design boards, you have the existing floor plan, the proposed with a 3D that you can interact with. And then here you have some products that I recommend for the space. It goes from paint to water, air quality, acoustics, etc., plants and furniture. And here I explain a bit. And here we have all the products with the total budget.
I'm guessing that the plants are filtering the air.
Yes, exactly.
Cool.
And you have all the products here. You can approve or decline. You can chat with the designer on the platform. And when you're happy with the selection, I do a quote, an invoice, and then you can pay everything online. So all the process is digital.
You don't even have to go to the office, ideally.
No, you should go just maybe if I want to do some air quality monitoring, I should go, but I don't need to go in a physical space. That's why it's interesting, because all the process is digital. You see pictures of the space, they send you dimensions on the questionnaire, so you can do the plan again. If it's a much bigger space, maybe you need to go there and take measurements. But the process is digital. This is the idea, to do it digital in order to scale it to the maximum of people.
Gotcha. Super cool. And right now you're putting a few resources online already so that people can discover on their own. How educated are they when they get to you?
Actually, it depends on how you target, because I realized that my main contact is HR and CEOs. If you have companies working with employee well-being software, for example, it means that they are aware about well-being. So I tend to go directly on the converted companies, and hijack this awareness funnel.
Gotcha. When you say the employee well-being software, are they a questionnaire type of software, or it's more like text recognition and they see how many times you connect to your email or how you respond to Slack and they're like, oh,
yeah, you have different techniques actually, but the main one is to constantly ask questions for the employees. How do you feel? Frequent surveys with employees that monitors how they feel. So that way you prevent burnout. It's mainly questions that you ask for employees. I don't know, maybe weekly or monthly basis.
We renovated the flat, and I didn't know about a few of the things I knew after, because I researched for Soon after researching for the flat, and I'm on the journey to understand, and it's a big thing. I should have worked with you, but basically it felt a bit bad when I realized how few of the choices I made were actually aligned with what you do. How do you do when clients have invested in an office 3 or 4 years ago and their plan was to keep it for 10 years, and that now you're telling them, oh, actually those decisions were not great? How does it feel to them, and are they still making the investment, or you need to wait for them to finish their cycle of managing the asset because they have a plan for so many years of use life, I guess?
Yeah. But actually you have, like, in the design, you have different scales of interventions. You can optimize it as an existing space. So if you have already the furniture, you did a small design if you want, and you just want to optimize the health of your space, you have strategies like how to improve air quality, how to improve acoustics, how to improve the amount of natural light entering the space. So you have some techniques you can do. It's like small interventions. You can optimize a space for any budget, actually. You can do it from scratch, or you can just optimize an existing space. So it depends on what you need. It's like when you go to a doctor. When you go to a doctor, if you have a problem, he do his diagnostic and he said, okay, you have these kind of problems and we need to solve them. And you have high priority problems and low priority problems. So it's the same process.
Gotcha. Okay. What is the one thing they discover when they come work with you? Because I guess we pinpointed that the most important for them is to retain employees and make them happier and higher performance. Are there things that they're like, oh God, we had no clue and it's great because we're going to benefit even more from the project with you? What are those things?
Mainly it's retention, because especially after COVID, the pandemic amplified this need, especially with people when we started working from home, and now you have the majority of companies doing hybrid work. Maybe you work 2 days a week at home and 3 days a week at the office. So, and now you have this big question: should we go back to the office or should we keep this flexibility? And how do we manage this flexibility? So one of the strategies to attract employees back to the office is to improve the space and adapt it to the new needs. Everyone's asking a bit like existential questions right now about, is the work I do meaningful and fulfilling for me? I think that especially after the pandemic, people are much more interested in the purpose than in the paycheck today.
I guess that if the office is getting better and you start promoting as well that the office is improving the air quality and all those aspects, people are going to start thinking about their homes as well.
And now the workplace is changing a bit, especially in the functionality of the workplace, because now with hybrid work, if you had 100 employees, you needed, let's say, 100 square meters. And now, if you don't have the 100 every day, all day, so it's much more flexible. So maybe you need less space than before. So you need to rearrange, to readapt your space for collaborative work instead of just everyone going to the office and work on his desk and just a 9-to-5 job. I think that the workplace, especially after the pandemic, needs to readapt to the new normal, the new ways of working, and to adapt actually to this hybrid mode and to the new needs of their employees.
I saw a massage chair on the quotes that you were having. It reminds me, at Google, we had so many different rooms with different cool things. And I remember my friends wanting to visit me, or my mom wanting to visit me at Google just because she could use the cool massage chair. I'm guessing those are the new things that you try to have some key amenities for the office so that people are motivated to go and just spend some time there.
Yeah, exactly. Spend some time, talk with their colleagues, not just go there and work and go back home. Now the workplace, in my opinion, will be the place where you collaborate and you brainstorm with the team. And when you need to do focused works, you stay at home or you take a small cabin in your workplace and you work. But yeah, it will be much more collaborative and flexible than before.
Like having your own private club. Only the employees can access that cool place that you create. Cool. Apart from the massage chair, what are the cool amenities that people are starting to bring in the office that maybe before were not so thought through?
So the air purifiers, for example, having a lot of plants is important. The colors are important too, the colors you choose, because you know that color have an impact on our psychology. We feel different emotions when we are with colors. Yellow and red, for example, they excite us. Blue and green are more calming. You have a lot of scientific studies about the subject. It's important to know which color to use, which tonality, depending on the space and the energy you want to give to each space.
Do you work with other architects, and sometimes you come in and like you need to work with a team and you need to convince them, or are they usually aware already and they're happy you're taking care of this part because they might not know as much as you do?
Maybe they don't know how to do it, but they are aware of it and they know that it's important. So sometimes when an architect don't know about the subject, I'm happy to explain and to give him the right sources. And architects are more and more aware about this subject, about especially biophilic design and health in the spaces, because the certifications, the WELL certifications, for example, it's booming right now. A lot of people are taking it, and I think it's a very good thing. People are more aware about being healthy in the spaces. The architect has a role to play too when they design a space, to put health and well-being first, not only design nice things, but healthy things too.
Is it something you're looking at to be a kind of the part of the back office of the architects as well, and be like, a partner that can do the.
Yeah, maybe in the long term, yeah, maybe I don't want to position myself as a competitor. We should work in the same way, you know. I'm an architect and my job is to make all architects work like this in this way, you know, and we should all work in this direction because it's the direction that puts people's health and respect the planet. It's the way forward.
Gotcha. And apart from money, is there other objections or resistance that you see when working with clients?
Yeah, the budget. It's always the budget because working that way is a bit more expensive. Sometimes when you just want to optimize a space, it's not always more expensive. If you want to add plants, it's nothing. But yeah, when you're designing from scratch a project, it may be a bit more expensive to do it that way. But when you're optimizing a space, no, you can just optimize, like invest a bit in some things, some products, some plants, some paint with colors. It's not always very expensive. Sometimes you have people that don't believe you, but when they don't believe you, I say it's scientific facts. It's not an opinion, you know. I send them the research. It depends on the clients.
Okay. Right now we are redesigning the resort. My focus has been on spaces in nature, multiple buildings, not so much constraint on how much land you have because it's away from the city. I'm looking deeply at biophilic design. I'm looking at regenerative buildings. I've looked more at the Living Building Challenge content and certifications than the WELL, but I think they're quite aligned. What is your recommendation apart from those certifications when looking at a project like this? I was engaging with Nao Iguchi. She's an ecological artist, and she's also aware of biophilic design and regenerative solutions. And I came very quickly to the conclusion that building in nature is actually something we should not do if we want to be fully not impactful in a not negative way. We should not be building anymore. So I have this kind of guilt of wanting to do this. The direction I'm taking is to build on lands that have been occupied by humans already, but are more remote, and hopefully treat a land that has been damaged by human beings just because the soil has been degraded or maybe some pollution. From your point of view, engaging in this for a while already, and also you've been doing more normal architecture, what would be your recommendation? How would you take on the challenge?
My recommendation for you is to first choose local materials to the maximum, limit the importation of non-local materials and resources, and especially integrate nature in your process. Where is the location of the building you want to do?
There's no location. Right now we're working on the concept, and then we will be applying the concept to wherever we have funds for and we find an opportunity for the land.
Yeah, so for me, the most sustainable way is to build it with local materials, with sustainable. Now you have a lot of companies working on that, like, for example, building blocks made with earthy materials, you know?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of innovations today on building materials that are less polluting. So I think you can start with that. It's the most relevant.
Are there specific ones? I read about the Mcrete, the one with the hemp and the earth or the kind of concrete. So yeah, purely earth. You basically extract and then you have a machine to process it. Are there ones that are better, or it's just about the type of land you have?
Yeah, it's the type of land you have. It depends really on the location. That's something we had before industrialization. You had no transport. You were obliged to build with local materials, and that's something we lost. So we have to go back to the old way and building with the lands and the context around you. It depends where you'll be. I will send you companies that works and the sustainable materials and innovating.
What about the platform you were showing me earlier? Are you coding it yourself? Are you developing it?
Yeah, for now it's all no code, so I'm not coding myself. The objective is to do an operational MVP so that I can test with clients, and if all goes well, I will have to code it from scratch.
So your plan is to code when it's working.
The prototype is working for now, and I don't need more than this. So if all goes well, do it from scratch again.
When you design an office at the moment, and I guess for the home, it's going to be the same process. Do you take into account the activities during the day? Like at sunrise, this happens, at sunset, this happens, and these are all the activities during the day. Do you map the user experience in some way?
That's why we do the survey with the employees, because we ask them about how they work during the day and what they need. This is the data collection on the first step. It's really focused on employee experience and what they need. For example, you have lightings now that are called biodynamic lighting. This is very good for offices because the lighting adapts during the day. It has a blue color temperature. Then when it moves through the day, it goes to yellow before the sunset. It allows the worker to adapt to their circadian rhythm. They feel less stressed and they sleep better. Overall, it's much better for their health.
I guess also you realize it's late because sometimes you, if you have a very well lit room, you're like, it's 10 p.m. You're like, oh God, the day flew by. Cool. And does it become red at the end of the day?
No. It's just from blue to yellow. And it's a very subtle change.
Gotcha. In our bedroom, we have red lights for the night, just like in submarines. We just turn on the red light. People think it's weird, but it's pretty useful for the night. Cool, Michael. How long before you have the version that is operational and you can decide if you code or not?
Now it's operational. I can use it now.
Okay.
So I can work on it right now. And yeah, the idea is to test it and to improve it. And when I get funding, I do the coding website.
Is there a way for you to maintain it without code and work with it for a year and have many clients? Could scale it to how many clients with this current setup?
I can scale it to as many clients as I want. So I'm not sure, maybe I don't need to code it again because it's going to cost a lot of money. Mainly if I want to recode, it's just for the experience to be as smooth as possible. But it's not a priority. The priority is to make it work and to do it in a nice way.
What is the potential for AI? Having some kind of model that just trains.
There is a big potential for AI. I don't know if it's AI or machine learning. I'm not sure. But for example, on my website, the first thing you can do is a quick space quiz. So I ask you very simple questions, a yes, no, 10 questions. And you can do it right now. Questions about your space. And we evaluate, you have 3 answers, unhealthy, okay, and you're on the right path, to see a bit the health of your space. And where AI can, or machine learning can enter in this process is that at the end of the quiz, I can recommend you products on what you answered. So if you answered me, I don't open windows, means that air quality may be bad in your space. I can recommend you air purifiers, plants, etc. So I can do products recommendation after the quiz.
Michael, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. It was fascinating to hear about your journey and Spacebloom as a company. Enjoy what is coming. You can find out more about Spacebloom on their website, spacebloom.co. If you look forward to the next episode or want free access to our research, go to noesun.com/research.